So we are going to study interface. Now, interface in Java. So ideally, what is interface? Interface is a blueprint of a class. We can say that is a blueprint of a class, right? And what it contains? It has abstract method. Okay, whatever be the methods, they all are abstract without implementation. Remember, they all are without any body. Ideally, that method has without any body and constant. So, and what class can do? A class can implement that. Them. It means interface. Now, what is the syntax of interface? See, for that purpose, what I'll do, I'll just jump to Eclipse. Let me open my Eclipse. This is the Eclipse, and there we are just going to create a new interface. Now, for that, I'm just going to create a package com.java.test interfaces. And see that interface can be anything. For example, I'm just going to create for animal. So this is an interface. Now, see, in this interface, what I'll do, see, we can create any method. Like, see, we'll have a method, make sound. So every animal makes sound. And that method is by default abstract. Remember, we cannot have body for this method. That is very clearly mentioned. It has an abstract method without any body. It means if I'll try to put any body, that is not suggested. See, we are getting error right now. It means we need to remove this and we need to put semicolon. Now that is a perfect interface, and this method is by default abstract. Right. Now what we can do, see, these interfaces can be implemented. But why interface arise? See, ideally Java does not support inheritance of this type. Like we'll have a class A. If that class try to extends two classes like B, comma C, that is not allowed. So some people say that interface is an example of the multiple inheritance. Right. Now, there we can do in that way. If this class wants to implement to interface, so yes, it can do implements these interfaces. Okay. Now A and B are to B, A is a class, B and C are two interfaces, which can be easily implemented in A. But one restriction. If you are implementing any interface, like if any interface is implementing, then what happened? Then you need to call all the methods, and that methods called override. Okay, that method should be, in other words, we can say it should be override. What does it mean? See, now what I'll do, let me create a class. Okay, and that for example, I'll have a class in the same package. I'm just going to create a class. Right click, new class. That is I'll just go with any, like dog. Okay, now in this dog, if I am going to implements animal. Now when I'll save this animal and I'll just go to this dog, now you can see there is a error in dog. Why? Because we need to override that method. So either you can hover the mouse in Eclipse or you can directly write this method. Public void make sound. See, because dogs also make a type of sound, that is, it barks. Anything. Okay, so dog sounds, anything we can mention. Sounds. Now it is necessary for us to override this method. If we are not going to override the method, if we try to create our own method, yes, you can create your own method, but it is necessary to override the existing method. Like you can have your own method, that is not a problem. But this method should be override. Now let me run this. We got the output. Right click. Okay, we don't have main. So once again, we require main as well. Oh, okay. So ideally it should be the object. Okay, we can create object there as well. Dog, control space dog equals to new dog and then dot make sound. Now let me run this. We got the output. Okay. Remember, see, couple of things to be remember. Methods and interface are public and abstract by default. They all should be public and abstract by default. Right. Variables are public, static, and final by default. If we'll have any variable, so it is public, static, and final. Okay, class ideally use implements keyword that we are using there. Okay, apart from that, uh, interface, I think, oh, inheritance, we had already discussed. Now let me go with another example. Right click, new class. Let me create a sample interface test. This is the class. And above this class, I'm just creating first interface. That is interface A. Right. And then again, I'm going to create another interface. That interface is interface B. This interface has a method, public method. Again, it cannot have body. So we are not going with a body. This has show. Okay, this also has a method. I'm just going with the method there as well. Okay, and that method can be, once again. Yep. Display. Okay. Now this is another method. Now, for example, see, this is a public class, so we are going to put main in that. And there, I'm just going to create a new class. That class can be any class like my class, and that will going to implement all of them. A, comma, B. Now, okay, B is nothing. That's why we are getting this error. Let me go with B there. And let me hover the mouse and add unimplement. When I'll click on that, let me press Control Z. Just see, when I'll click, let me provide some space. When I'll hover the mouse over there, and then when I'll click add unimplemented methods, then we got this option. Now see these two methods. First method display that belongs to the class interface B and show that belongs to class interface A. They all are there by default, right? Now we'll have these method and whatever we want to print that can be printed there like sys out from B. Let me type this from A. And if we want to call them, so of course we need to create an object. So that object I'm going to create. Just 1 minute. Yeah. So now if I want to call them, then what happened? Let me create main and then main and let me create object of this class. That class is my class. My class control space, my class equals to new my class. And with the help of that object, we can call the method display. And let me call the another method, that is show. Let me done this. Now see, now what is the hierarchy? This is the main class. That main class is calling the my class, okay, by creating the object. My class has two interfaces that are A and B. Okay, it is implementing these two interfaces, and by default, the methods of these two interfaces are inside this block. Okay, so this is the complete scenario of interface, how interface works. This is the first part of interface.